Hey, I recently went to the Mecum auction in Chicago, Illinois. This was their Larry's Legacy auction. What this was an auction of the Klairmont Collection. This was a privately held museum that was open to the public. Unfortunately, the owner, Larry Klairmont, is no longer with us, so they were auctioning off his collection, and a lot of these cars are going to be showing up in other collections. So some of them you may see again in other museums. Anyway, in this particular video, I did several videos for this. This is the first. I'm going to do just the custom cars and some of the unique movie cars and things that were at the auction. I know I don't really do custom cars on this channel, but you know, some of them are very nice. Also, there's some very unique cars here that are well worth talking about. Also, after every car, I'm going to give you the sales price that you could have owned this car for. Anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at some of the custom and movie cars that were at this auction. All right, we're going to start things off with just a fantastic car. That color, by the way, is turquoise metal flake sparkle, in case you're wondering. This 1960 Ford Fairlane is called Spaceliner, and it was built by Gene Winfield and Darrell Starbird. These are two legendary custom car builders. The electronically actuated dual bubble canopy top really gives this car the mid-century retro-futurism that I really love. Speaking of retro-futurism, the stock-looking Ford Dash is really retro-futuristic enough all on its own. Speaking of stock, the car features the 226 inline six-cylinder engine paired with Ford-O-Matic automatic transmission. The back end of this car has been highly modified with no less than 10 1959 Cadillac taillights. I think this is just a great-looking look. The car did sell. It changed hands for $66,000. Moving on to another 1960s custom. This is a 1963 Ford Thunderbird. This is built by Don Russo. This is really the only car that he's known for, but that's all right. He did a great job on it. This is pearlescent green paint. All custom upholstery, custom interior. The car has been lowered by 4 inches. The hood has been stretched by 5 inches. As you can see, he went with a very minimalistic look on the dash, which I really think reflects the design aesthetic that we're going for here, with minimal chrome trim and flowing body lines. Notice that part of the chrome that's been removed has been the front and rear bumpers. The car features the stock Thunderbird V8 with automatic transmission. The paperwork I had didn't say which one, but I'm guessing probably Cruise-O-Matic. I guess maybe Ford-O-Matic. Listen, I'm just guessing at this point, just ignore me. Anyway, it's just a fantastically clean looking build. This car could have been yours for $60,500. Let's move on to something a little wilder. This is the Joe Balin Barber Shop Custom. Joe Balin is another legendary custom car builder. He's credited with creating a whole line of candy-named paint colors, including Candy Apple Red. Speaking of red, there is no shortage of red velvet upholstery here, although the chairs that those mannequins are sitting on are authentic barber chairs. The car was built in 1969. I can't find any specs on the engine, but it looks a little bit more powerful than is needed. I don't think I'd want to drive this car very fast. I'm pretty sure with velvet upholstery placed that close to the exhaust, this car is really more work of art than anything that's meant to be driven down the road. Now, before you ask, yes, the mannequins are being sold separately. We're just buying the car here. Let's pull back and just appreciate the weirdness of this vehicle. This thing is absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be a showstopper wherever you go. Maybe a great thing to take to Motorama. Anyway, could have been yours for $176,000. Next up, this really nice looking 1950 Studebaker Champion. I don't really have a lot of information on this one, but this is just a beautiful car. Let me pause for just a second to emphasize that this is a custom, not necessarily a hot rod. I mean, these are kind of fluid terms that people are going to define differently, but generally speaking, a rod is going to be something that is built for speed or power, emphasis on the hot, whereas a custom is more rolling art. I mean, that beautiful Fairlane, that Spaceliner that we looked at a couple of cars ago, was still running the original inline six, so clearly that's not going to be doing any wicked burnouts on the way out of the Cars and Coffee. The purpose of these customs is to be admired as works of art, so really what's under the hood is maybe a secondary concern. This car could have been yours for $33,000. Next up, we've got a name that just about everybody recognizes. This is a 1981 Barrister built by George Barris. Even some people that aren't into cars recognize the name Barris as the man behind the original 1966 Batmobile. The Barrister here is based on a Corvette platform, and about a dozen of these were built, generally on special order for various celebrities. Unlike a lot of cars that we've seen so far, which are strictly art, the Barrister was meant to be driven out on the road, and this is George Barris's twist on the neoclassic craze that was popular in the late 70s and early 80s. Anyway, this auction was your chance to own an actual George Barris creation. This car would have set you back $60,500. Up next, we've got another Gene Winfield build. This is based on a 1956 Ford Thunderbird with Lincoln headlights. I really like this one. The paint job with, I guess you'd call it scalloped striping on here, really evokes that kind of early 60s custom aesthetic. I think the build is a little newer than that. The notes that I have say that the engine is a 1980s vintage Mustang 5-liter. Also, the Continental kit around back here is custom fabricated. The car also features bumpers faired into the body, custom scooped hood, and sizzling electric blue paint. Gene Winfield also has a 1960s Batman connection. Although he did not build the Batmobile, he built the Catmobile. That's the car that Catwoman drove in the 1960s series. This car would have set you back a very reasonable $20,900. Okay, next up we have a 1956 Continental Mark II. This is a build by Lee Wells. He was a protege of George Barris. This is a vintage build from the 1960s, and I really super love the bubble top here with the interior. I like on the center console that we have a whole bank of toggle switches that do various things. It really gives it that sort of retro future 1960s feel. The whole interior is just great, especially with the sort of wood backing on the seats. It seems like almost Eames inspired. This is a Lincoln with that atomic age aesthetic really turned up. Under the hood we have the standard 368 V8, although it has been modified with Hilborn fuel injection. This car has kind of made the rounds. It was displayed at the Chicago Auto Show as recently as 2023. For the right bid, it could have been in your garage. It would have taken $60,500. Seems like a common price. Up next we have Beatnik. This is a signature build by Gary Choppet Fioto. Although this is called out as a 1955 Ford, it's built on a 1988 Town Car chassis. You're looking at a 1959 Cadillac front bumper with Lincoln, or at least Lincoln-inspired headlights. Rear bumper is 1958 Cadillac with 1960 Chrysler taillights. Of course, the whole thing is topped with this massive Lexan hand-formed bubble top. Once again, we have a car that represents that retro mid-century futurism aesthetic. I like the little display for the backseat passengers there. Also, the steering wheel, that's that yoke aircraft-inspired feel. A lot of mid-century modernism really has that sort of combination fighter jet spaceship kind of feel. One of the shows that I grew up watching that embodied this aesthetic was, of course, the Jetsons, and they had that large bubble top over all of their vehicles also. As we walk around back, you can see that 1958 Cadillac mated with the 1960 Chrysler taillights. Under the hood, we have a Chevy 350 block mated with a 6 carburetor intake. This could have gone home on your trailer, but it would have taken just a little shy of 200 grand. Next up, we have a creation called the Ice Princess XF58. This was built in 1987 by customizer Richard Fletcher based on a 1950 Studebaker. There you can kind of see the Studebaker front end treatment, although with dual stacked headlights. His idea was to create a car that imagined if Studebaker had built a Motorama style concept car in 1958, what this would have looked like. I think his concept is a little wild even for a Motorama car, but there's certainly a lot of features here to really appreciate. I do love the double bubble top here. Also, the gold on the upholstery is a great choice. It really looks like something out of a 1950s sci-fi movie. And when you start viewing this car as the late 50s, kind of as viewed through the lens of the late 80s, you know, I'm starting to kind of warm up to this. We got little crystal ball things on the top of the bubble canopies. Yep, sure. The paperwork I have calls it out as having a 500 cubic inch V8. I'm assuming that's a Cadillac 500, but I could be wrong. There's that back end. Apparently the exhaust comes out through the back fenders. That's those three ports that are down at the bottom there. Of course, we've got dual stacked taillights to match the dual stacked headlights. Really, of course, the thing that you see first is the dual front axles on this thing. Dual is really a whole aesthetic for this car with the dual headlights, dual taillights, dual bubble canopy top, and of course dual front axles. You could have this on, I'm assuming, your dually trailer for only $77,000. All right. We got to talk about this car. So early 50s, George Barris wrecks his brand new 1953 Lincoln Capri. Takes the wrecked Capri and transforms it into the Golden Sahara. Let me talk about the light-up tires before I continue with the story, because everybody wants to know about the light-up tires. These were prototype from the Goodyear Tire Company. They are transparent tires illuminated from the inside. Anyway, back to the story. Barris was supposedly inspired by the 1950s comics Batmobile. The car makes its official debut at the Los Angeles GM Motorama in 1954. The car features automatic braking control, that's in 1954, electronic door opening, radio, stereo system, tape recorder, television, telephone, and cocktail bar. Those antennas, that's part of the sensors for the automatic braking. The car was an instant hit, as, you know, it would be, and went on to inspire factory concept cars, and George Barris cited this car as the inspiration for the 1966 Batmobile. This is the car that inspired the Batmobile. In 1956, the car was reworked by another customizer, Jim Street Skanzakis. He generally just went by Jim Street. Anyway, it's now known as the Golden Sahara 2, and wow. There's part of the sound system right there so you can listen to your tapes, you know, your reel-to-reel tapes. The yoke steering wheel actually can come out and you can steer the whole thing with that center joystick. Side to side is steer, push it forward to accelerate, or back to brake, just like an aircraft. The car had a starring role in the Jerry Lewis movie Cinderfella. This is the car that his normal car got turned into. The car has been completely restored, including new Goodyear supplied tires, now lit with color-changing LEDs. I mean, there's some really nice cars at this auction, but this one is just like an order of magnitude on another level. In theory, you could have bought this car at this auction, but it would have taken a lot of juice. How much juice? Well, $1,265,000. That's a lot of juice. All right, that's a hard car to follow, but we'll try with this Atlantis. This was built by Ron Santasiero of Santasiero Design Concepts in Southern California. The elephant hood ornament and that grille shape clue us in that this is clearly Bugatti inspired. In fact, the body lines are inspired by the 1937 Bugatti Atlantic, although those fenders are inspired by the 1937 Delahaye 135. If you're going to have fender lines inspired by something, Delahaye is really the way to go. Although referred to in some literature as a 1988, the car was built in 2012 and presented at Pebble Beach that year. The car is powered by a Chevy 350 mated with an automatic transmission and features such modern conveniences as a CD player. Wait, are CDs considered old school now? The older I get, the harder it is to keep up with what modern means. All right, it features such period accessories as a CD player. Yeah, that hurts to say. Anyway, I saw an interview with the builder and he said that the car was built over a 4-month period, which really seems incredibly fast. This is a fiberglass body and does feature a removable hardtop that is currently not installed. Let's walk back around front here and admire those beautiful body lines. This car looks actually amazing, especially from the front. This is a car that was actually meant to be driven, and you could have driven it and been king of the local car shows. It would have cost you $121,000. All right, this next one is not technically a custom, but it's a customized version of another car-ish, so I'm going to count it. This is a year 2000 Zimmer, and really, I wasn't going to cover this one, but I saw that it was built for Shaquille O'Neal, so I thought, all right, it's Shaq's car, we'll cover it. Obviously, someone else has been driving it because the seat is not adjusted, you know, all the way back. Anyway, this is a neoclassic style, and this is on a stretched Mustang chassis with a fiberglass body. Zimmers were mostly made in the 80s, but under new ownership, there were a few that were made from 2000 to 2020. Why settle for a signed jersey when you can have his car? That would have set you back $27,500. All right, here's a different kind of a custom. This is the Sea Lion, built in 2013 by Mark Witt and Sea Rotor Aquatic. This is an amphibious car. I like the little submarine hatch style thing up on top here, although you're not really supposed to fully submerge. I don't see a seal on this, so I don't think that's watertight. We'll call it, water resistant. The body and chassis are all custom made with an aluminum body. The power comes from a Mazda 1.3-liter rotary engine with a Camden supercharger. For moving in the water, it uses a modified Berkeley 12JC jet drive. So being a jet boat, it's a little quick. In fact, the notes I have here say at the time of its construction, it was known as the world's fastest amphibious car, which is not a thing I thought anyone was keeping track of, but apparently we are. When the car is in water mode, those front wheels hydraulically move up into the wheel wells. That seems like a really robust windshield wiper on there, which I guess you would expect. I really like you've got the little plexiglass cover here so you can see all the hydraulic stuff that moves the wheels around. Hey, if you're gonna have an amphibious car, you might as well have a fast one. This could have been yours for $55,000. Next, we're traveling back to 1962, and yes, this is a three-wheeled car. It looks like that's 59 Cadillac taillights has like a little marker light there. Headlights are actually a little bit further back. That's super cool. This is the 1962 Vortex X2000 built by Jerry Woodward, and look at those headrests. Anyway, the car debuted at the 1962 Grand National Roadster Show. Oh, look, it's got a television. It was also featured in the June 1962 issue of CarCraft and the November 1962 issue of Customs Illustrated. It's got an air inlet back there because it has a rear-mounted 1952 Lincoln 345 paired with a 3-speed transmission. The tranny is sourced from another Lincoln, this time 1950. Look at that back end. Jeez, oh Pete's. A 1950 Nash donated the dash. That kind of formed the basis of what we're looking at. Also, that windshield frame doubles as a roll bar. Larry Klairmont acquired this about 12 years ago by buying it on eBay. The sound system includes a console-mounted reel-to-reel player. You're not cool unless you can play tapes on your console. Let's take a closer look at that dash-mounted television set. With a car this futuristic, I assume you're watching Mannix. I also like the fact that there's some mysterious toggle switches over here for the passenger to run. Over on the driver's side, we have a matching set of toggle switches. These things actually have little lights next to them too. Let's zoom in there so that as you flip the switch, the little light comes on. I don't know what they do, but that's just cool and I want them in my car. Interestingly, this car was originally called the X1975, but Jerry Woodward didn't think that was far enough into the future, so he changed it to the X2000. If there are any car manufacturers watching this, we don't want touchscreens. We want big old toggle switches with lights that light up. Anyway, this futuristic version of what we might be driving in year 2000 did sell for $99,000. Scooby, Scooby-Doo, where are you? No, I'm not going to sing, sorry. Yeah, I think I just lost so many viewers right there. Seriously, though, 1966 Ford Econoline Supervan. The Supervan is the one with the extended length on it, remember. It goes without saying, we're looking at a Mystery Machine replica here. Replica or tribute, I'm not sure, because there's no real van to base it off of. It's a cartoon. And as we look inside, we see there's actually lots of room in here, so I'm not sure why they're always crowded up against the windshield. Of course, it's a design choice to paint pictures of yourself and your friends on the inside of the van, but it's a choice that Fred made. I'm assuming this is technically Fred's van. He was always driving, but I guess I don't know. The little write-up I have says that about $40,000 was spent on this build. I don't know if that includes the initial purchase of the van or not. There you can kind of see the extended length. That means this is a super van. I've read articles about various people trying to decide exactly what van the Mystery Machine is. Yeah, I'm not proud of it, but I've done it. Anyway, Econoline is the most common answer. So, good choice on the Econoline Supervan. On the back, we've got some one-way decals showing some of the villains that the Scooby Gang has defeated. So, did the $40,000 investment pay off? Well, Yes, it did. $82,500. Hey, it's the Batmobile. Actually, a replica of the '66 Batmobile. I'm going to cover a couple of TV and movie cars, and these are all going to be replicas of the actual ones rather than the actual ones. This particular Batmobile is entirely custom with a reported $175,000 spent on the build. That kind of money, every detail is correct, including the Bat extinguisher. The original Batmobile was, of course, a modification of the 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car. There's the detectoscope for detecting things. Over here, we've got the Bat Scanner Activator and the Bat Ram, not battering ram, just Bat Ram. We also have, of course, the emergency Bat Turn lever. This lever deployed chutes, although not always, and then rotated the car around 180 degrees. I like how it's labeled on both sides so that Robin, or really whoever's in the passenger seat, could initiate an emergency Bat Turn. Anyway, the Futura concept car that this is based on was actually inspired by the George Barris Golden Sahara that we saw earlier. There's the emergency Bat Turn from the other direction. I like the big old green compass right there, right next to the Bat Ray projector and antenna actuator. Not bat antenna in this case, it's just a regular antenna apparently. Plus we've got a whole bunch of little lights up there that do things or indicate things. Anyway, because Barris did the original Golden Sahara, he was really the obvious choice to modify the Futura into the Batmobile. This whole build is absolutely bat-tastic. It's powered by a 460 Ford big block making 500 horsepower. Although within the continuity of the show it was supposed to be a gas turbine, you know, atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Also, we're just gonna gloss over the atomic batteries thing. Anyway, this thing sold for $220,000. Adam West, Adam West. All right, we've got the Bat Cycle up next. This is the series-accurate 1964 Yamaha Catalina. Although I do need to mention one episode there was a Harley-Davidson-based Bat Cycle, but it was replaced by the Catalina. This one has Robin in the sidecar. In the continuity of the show, the sidecar was able to detach and could be driven separately. Although in actuality, although the sidecar did detach, there was no way to steer it, or slow it down, or control it in any way. Every time they filmed a scene where it detached, they would just send Burt Ward flying off into a field. The actor described it as sheer terror every time they filmed one of those scenes. I don't know if this one detaches, but no expense has been spared to make this motorcycle series accurate. You could own it for $35,750. This next one is not a car, but it just amused me. It's a little kiddie ride where you can sit in the back while Batman drives. You want to imagine yourself driving the Batmobile? No. Slow your roll there, kid. You can imagine yourself riding while Batman drives. Let's have some realistic imagination here. Also, you sit in the back. You don't get to ride up front with Batman. Come on. I couldn't find a price on this one because it's not a car, so price wasn't disclosed after the show. Hey, it's another Batmobile. This Batmobile is a replica of the one used in the 1989 Batman movie. This one is built on a tube frame chassis with a 1989 Corvette drivetrain. Then we have movie correct random bits of something, and yes, those are actual .30 caliber Browning machine guns. In this case, the Browning receivers have been removed and they've been modified to fire blanks using oxypropane. Even though they're really only firing blanks, I'm still thinking it's pretty satisfying when that road rage hits you just right. My notes here say that the gun sight is the legitimate P-51 Mustang, which is also fun. There's actually quite a bit of electronics in the cockpit, and to run all that, we've got a power inverter by DeWalt, which is apparently a subsidiary of Wayne Enterprises. The cockpit features military, police, and weather scanners. It does not include the ability to tap into everyone's cell phone in Gotham City because we promised we would only do that once and then never again. Anyway, I'm not sure if I'd really want this because, do you want an arch nemesis? Because owning this car feels like how you get an arch nemesis. Still, if you're willing to dress up as the thing you feared as a child, you could have bought this. It would have taken $165,000. I'm going to close out the video with Dragula from, of course, the Munsters TV series. It also appeared in the movie Munster Go Home. There are a couple of differences between this one and the TV series actual Dragula. The coffin on this one is not quite as fancy, and there's a couple of mechanical differences. Still, it presents very well. Dragula was really only used in one episode of the Munsters. Normally they had the Munster coach. The Munster coach is the one Rob Zombie is driving in the video for Dragula. So that's, the wrong car for the song. It comes with a couple of promo pictures of the original Dragula. There's Herman. Fred Gwynn was a large man. You could have owned Dragula for $44,000. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little taste of the Larry's Legacy auction in Chicago, Illinois. I'm going to do a couple other videos on this same auction and kind of split the cars up sort of by category. Anyway, so look for the upcoming videos on this same auction. You can see those by subscribing to the channel. There's a link right about there that you could subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you know when I release a video. Or if you want to take a look at some of my other videos, there's some good ones back there. You can click the link right about there. That will lead you to one of my other videos, or just look at my channel and view them at random. It's high entertainment. Anyway, until next time, I'll talk to you later.